What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Today we're here to talk about the upcoming treasure map against Koala, debuting on the 18th of September at 1900 PST time, and it goes until September 22nd. Now, interestingly enough, the Sugo Fest for Ace and Sabo debuts on the 21st, so interestingly enough, that Sugo Fest is going to be debuting whilst the treasure map is still active. I think that's a bit of a weird one, just wanted to point it out. But in today's video, we're going to be going through my personal teams for this treasure map. Now, normally I do a full set of free-to-play teams for this treasure map. However, there are some pretty key differences to what we were expecting in this treasure map, and the boosted list is significantly different than what we were expecting. We'll go through it in a little moment, but first of all, let's talk about the brand new free-to-play character that we're all going to be farming, which is this Koala, a Dex Fighter Free Spirit character that has a captain effect of boosting free spirit characters by 3.75 and then reducing 2 turns of paralysis. For a captain effect for a free-to-play unit, very good unit, and a special ability that will make you immune to attack down and decrease chain multiplier growth rate for 3 turns, so it adds an immunity buff to your team, very similar to like Legend Smoker. And then it heals the crew by 6,000 at the end of the turn for 3 turns, and then boosts Dex and Free Spirit characters' attack by 1.75 times for a turn, and then after 1 turn has passed, you get a 2 times attack boost afterwards. That's actually a pretty good unit. This unit is not bad at all, definitely could see play. And let's have a look at the crewmate effects. If they have a Dex slot and you hit a perfect, you keep it. Nothing really too crazy there, but one thing I did notice straight away is that this is another free-to-play unit with the Hunger Limit Break potential ability, reducing it by 3, though you do have to Limit Break expand this character. So I would advise, if you guys get that key in the treasure map to Limit Break expand a treasure map character, to Limit Break this unit. Seems worthwhile in my eyes, very good unit overall. So scrolling down, getting a little bit more information about this particular treasure map, it does mention here, right here at the top there, it says, additionally, starting from this treasure map, you can raise your bounty from top percentile rewards, and the amount of your bounty increases further the higher you are on the league, and depending on which league you're in. So you can get up to 4 million bounties depending on where you place in this treasure map. So of course, if you're in the New World League and you rank even higher on that, you're getting more bounty there comparatively to East Blue or Grand Line League. So if you want to get those higher bounties to flex on your other alliance members or just anyone else, make sure to go ahead and rank as high as you possibly can, of course. But this is where I wanted to talk about some things, okay? The boosted list for this upcoming treasure map versus Koala is the exact same unit for unit as what JP had in terms of everything. Right now, the highest point booster are all of these Reiju, Shirahoshi, and Rebecca units, the special edition units on the Sugo Fest, 1.6 times point boost, which isn't that high comparatively to what we had in like previous treasure maps. You know, normally on global, our highest point boost is a 2.2 times. So this time being 1.6, but these characters are far easier to acquire comparing to other treasure map units. You got the other 1.4 boosters, you got some 1.35s, some 1.25s, 1.2 boosters, and you have some other 1.2 boosters, but there's some other problems here. It's the fact that not every single treasure map character is going to be boosted on this event, meaning that for free-to-play players, this is going to be significantly more difficult in order to get through. If you decided not to pull on this Sugo Fest, then it's going to be very difficult for you to get through a lot of these fights, at least easy to get through a lot of these fights. You will have to rely on sometimes non-boosted units in order to get through it, because some of these debuffs are just extremely annoying to get around. So in this video, I'm showing you guys my teams, but we'll talk about it and how you can filter characters in your character box to locate characters to help you get around the content. So without further ado, let's now jump into the teams that I have. So jumping into this, the first team that we have here is versus Karasu. This is the first of the Battle Rush bosses. Let's have a look at his quest guide real quick. Actually, well, in the corner there, he is a Dex unit. This is a Dex boss, so you want to bring predominantly strength units to get the most damage possible. But in the quest guide, it gives us a little bit of information. One thing to note though is that this recommended characters list, where it has Luffy, Nami, and Chopper, these are incorrect. For some reason, they're showing like treasure map recommended units from like, you know, a couple of treasure maps ago, so that is incorrect. What is correct, however, is the behavior patterns. What actually happens in the boss fight is listed as correct. So you get a full board of badly matching slots, you get Despair, and you also get paralysis for 5 turns. So you want to be bringing characters that are able to get around despair and paralysis, and somehow to change those unfavorable slots into matching. So the way I'm doing it, I have Corazon support and Bartolomeo support on my team. Those 2 characters will get rid of the despair and the paralysis completely, so we won't have to worry about it. And because we get a full board of badly matching slots, with Law's captain ability, he makes quick and dex slots beneficial to our characters. All the characters on this team will be boosted by Law's captain effect, being dex, slasher, or cerebral characters. The Jinbei is a really good strength unit to have. We've got Cracker for color affinity. Law's attack boost is phenomenal, of course. In terms of damage, it shouldn't be a problem. But, you know, as we said, you need to somehow get around the ability to get around the despair and also get around the paralysis. So let's go ahead and filter by boosted effects, and let's have a look at filter, and we can sort by despair and paralysis hypothetically. I don't know if there's a character that legit does both of them that you might want to use. Who's this character right here? Okay, you could use Killer, but Killer's going to be very good in another boss fight moving forward. You've got this one right here. This Raid Crocodile is actually pretty decent, actually. Despair and paralysis by 5, which is perfect. Plus, it gives you a chain boost if you've got a strength or an int captain. But one other thing to note as well is that there is a free-to-play Luffy character that is actually boosted right here. This one, you get it by logging in. I think it had to be 10 days total, 11 days total throughout the whole event period. And you get this Luffy. He's a free-to-play unit, 3 times captain effect, gives you more berries and EXP when you clear a quest, and a special ability that gives you an orb boost, gets rid of bind and despair by 2 turns. So you can use this guy as your captain to just clear the boss fight. Plus he has type advantage, so it works perfectly, right? So that Luffy is a pretty solid unit to use as a captain, with some other strength units and other utility supports in order to get around this boss's debuffs. Moving on now to the secondary boss here, which is against Belo Betty. I'm running a pretty obscure team this time, but once again, you know, we're just running what we can because the other teams will have the bigger point boosters, of course. So Belo Betty is actually a strength unit, so you predominantly want quick units on your team to get full type advantage there. Having a look at the quest guide though, once again, the recommended characters are incorrect, but the behavior is correct. So you'll see that there is block slots you have to deal with, defense down immunity, so you can still delay them and you can still poison them. So Magellan is actually pretty good here as I have him as my captain. But you do need a unit that gets rid of 3 turns of damage threshold. This free-to-play rogue from the Pirate Rumble is really good because he does get rid of that damage threshold for you. Plus he says that he gives your crew a 1.75 times attack boost. So he's a pretty decent free-to-play unit to use in this event. I'm also going ahead and bringing Katakuri, the Kizuna Katakuri from like last month or the month before, because he does get rid of block orbs and he gives us a 2.75 times chain lock, so he's a pretty nice unit to bring. And then I am using Magellan, of course. Magellan, a very good quick captain, but you know, bringing any type of quick units is going to be obviously ideal here. If you have Magellan, it's really nice to use him here because he'll enable the poison, and then you can get a color affinity boost, and you can also get an additional bigger attack boost from that as well. And then Moria and the Usopp and Chopper are just kind of filler units, whatever. This fight isn't actually too difficult. Block orb and threshold remover is basically all you need, and then bringing quick units to give you that damage output that you actually need. So Belo Betty's probably the easiest of these boss fights. And then the third Battle Rush boss is against Morley. Morley is a Psi unit, so you want to be bringing int characters for this fight. Looking at the quest guide, once again, recommended units are incorrect, but you see that there's a lot of different things here. There is 3 turns of blindness, there is attack down, perfects are harder to hit, you're inflicted with burn, there's a delay immunity, and he has a 2-hit perfect barrier. Lots of different debuffs here. Now, the way that I'm getting around the blindness is I'm using X Drake. This Rare Recruit X Drake from Bonnie's batch is phenomenal here because he helps you get rid of burn, he gets rid of the blindness, and he gives us a 1.75 color affinity boost. And in terms of the attack down, now there aren't actually a lot of characters in this event that will remove a lot of attack down that are actually point boosted. The way that I'm doing it though is I'm using Shiryu as a sub. What I would advise though is that just to use this Shiryu as your captain because he is a good captain. He does resist despair by 2 turns, which is whatever, but 3.75 to slasher and driven, plus he has a special ability that gets rid of 4 turns of attack down. So you can have 2 Shiryus with both captains, use both of their special abilities, gets around the attack down, no problems. It does give you a color affinity boost to your slasher and driven characters as well. But in terms of the other way that I'm getting rid of it, is I do have the support page 1 attached to my Basil Hawkins, which does remove an additional 2 turns of attack down when we're inflicted with it. So by having that support and 1 Shiryu special, we can get rid of the 5 5 turns of attack down. I am using Bonnie as my captain. I recently pulled her. She is amazing, great attack booster. She's a chain locker as well. She's going to be really good in terms of just getting the damage output that we need. But ideally, you want to get rid of the attack down and the blindness. If you have a crewmate effect that can get rid of the blindness, that would be perfectly ideal as well. But you got to make sure you somehow find a way to hit those perfects, break through his barrier, and then go ahead and pierce him and do that damage to him. But removing that attack down is probably one of the big things you really need to look out for in this particular boss fight against Morley. So we finally made it to the final battle rush boss, and it is against Ivankov, and Ivankov is a dex unit, so bringing strength characters is definitely ideal. Let's have a look at the quest guide once again. Recommended characters are incorrect. So special reverse, 2 hits of special reverse really does suck because there aren't a lot of characters that outright remove 2 turns of it. Obviously, Rare Recruit Killer, if you were lucky enough to pull him, is phenomenal here. You also get given 4 turns of a chain lock and 4 turns of a chain reduction. So it's annoying that it's not one or the other, it's literally both of them. And then bind is inflicted to your top and middle row. So in order to get rid of the bind, this free-to-play Kaido and Big Mom is great because they remove all of that bind, and they also do some slot changing, and they give you an orb boost, a 2.25 times orb boost. Very nice unit to bring. We've got Killer, of course, to get around the special reverse. He's going to be nice to have. And then the 2 free-to-play units, Bartu and Cavendish, both have a special ability that are able to remove those chain debuffs on your team, so you can use them if you want. You can hit through it if you want, but I would ideally suggest to bring them because they're 1.35 point boosters. You might as well bring them. And then I am using, of course, the brand new Final Tap Kid as the captain because he does boost all the characters on this team. Makes a lot of sense to bring him here. So ideally, the Rare Recruit Kid and also Rare Recruit Killer, should I say, and then also Kaido versus Big Mom are the 2 most important units, I would say, for this particular boss fight. And with that Rare Recruit Killer, there actually aren't that many characters that can remove 2 turns of the special reverse. So you could potentially use like Arlong Crew, for example, who I know is not a boosted unit, but him having the crewmate effect and also a special ability that can resist those 2 turns of the special reverse is an idea. If you have Arlong Crew as a unit, could use them as a sub to get through that special reverse. So now we've finally made it to the final boss against Koala, the final boss that we have to deal with here. There is also the Intrusion boss, which we'll talk about after this, but the final boss is actually a strength unit, so you ideally want to have Final Tap Luffy for this fight. So for the quest guide here, we can have a look that obviously the recommended units are incorrect, but on battle 4 you're going to be dealt with a 30% health cut. You'll also be given empty slots and a delay immunity, and also a 5-turn Rainbow Shield % damage reduction. Now, ideally you have this Reiju because Reiju is able to remove empty slots and change them into matching, and it also does remove the 5 turns of the Rainbow Shield, so very perfect unit to be bringing for that particular fight there. And then also on the final stage, you'll have to deal with Special Bind on the top row, and also 5 turns of attack down. These 2 debuffs in particular are why building free-to-play teams for this fight absolutely suck, because there are not many characters that can remove 5 turns of Special Bind and 5 turns of attack down in free-to-play form. It's very hard to do, but then you've also got Recovery Bind and also a Delay Immunity. Now, the best character, if you have this Rare Recruit Zoro, you're going to be fine, because he removes the attack down and the Special Bind for you, and it also gives you an orb boost. So he is so good to have for that particular quest right there. I've just filtered here by attack down and by special bind, and you can see there actually aren't a lot of characters that do both of those things. You've got Legend Chopper, you've got the Rare Recruit Boa, you've also got the Stampede Buggy, of course. So like those are all valid options, I would feel, just to do all of that in one. So hypothetically, if you pulled like all the units but you still are missing Zoro, I would just probably use Legend Chopper on the team just to make it easier for you, so you don't have to worry about like having to stall or change your team up a lot. If you just use Legend Chopper plus all those boosters that I already had, probably is the best way forward, is what I would advise, because that for some reason they really made this Zoro like such a quintessential unit for getting through this Koala boss fight. I hate that they did it that way. It's really stupid, but yeah, if you have Zoro, you're going to be fine, which is really good. And then we have the final Intrusion boss this time versus Sabo, who is a quick unit. And for his particular quest, interestingly enough, you'll see here that on the first battle, so the first stage, you get the cooldown reduction to all your characters. but it also gives you an orb boost for 3 turns, but it's a 2 times orb boost. That's like really weird. So they just give you a boost for free, which is pretty good. But remember, it is on battle 1, so after that has expired and you move on to stage 2, it's only going to be a 1 turn orb boost, so keep that in mind. But on the second stage, full border block slots and 5 turns of blue shield. Once again, Reiju does counter that directly. And then on battle 3, you get Bind and Despair to your top row, and then also a special limit is applied to your team as well. So for this team, I'm using Shirahoshi as a friend captain, and of course we have Reiju to deal with stage 2, change those slots into matching, get rid of the blue shield of course. And on the final stage, we have Law. I do have the support of the super type Zoro, which means that when we use the special of Law, we get the 2.75 attack boost, the 1.5 increased damage taken, and our dex units get a 1.75 times orb boosting effect. So I think this is going to work for quite a while, I think. Obviously, if you don't have Law, you can use some of the other super type characters, of course, so long as you're able to get type advantage against Sabo, because he is a quick unit, so you've got to keep that in mind. And of course, I am using the Shirahoshi and the Rebecca as subs once again, just because they are like the fully boosted units, ideally to bring. And then there's like a free spot. I'm just using super type Kid, just because there's really no reason why, just because I can bring him. There's no real reason to use anyone else. I mean, you can use whatever you want. Obviously, if you don't have all the units, you'd want to be using characters that help you counter some of those debuffs that you'll be encountering throughout the fight, because you'll be seeing as well that the Bind and Despair, we can get around that with Rebecca. It's obviously very nice to have that, but of course it is 5 turns of Bind and Despair, meaning that if you have your sockets completely maxed out, it's going to go down to a 2-turn Bind and Despair, which does ultimately mean you could use like Corazon support on Law, you could use Rayleigh support on Luffy, depending on what unit you have. But one thing you do have to note is you are special limited. So after using the Rebecca and the Law special, hypothetical on my team, you can't use anything else. So you will be kind of restricted in terms of what you can do, which is why, you know, having units that can do multiple different things is going to be ideal for this fight. But as I said, unfortunately, this is such a difficult treasure map, honestly. In terms of building it for raw free-to-play, it's not going to be fun, and it's not really going to be easy. And I'm not really too sure what it's going to be like moving forward into other treasure maps, but I feel like, considering how crazy this month is and they're trying to jam-pack so many legends into one event, that's probably why this treasure map is built the way that it is. But I really hope that, you know, things change in terms of the treasure map boosted list. I much preferred having access to all of those 1.1 times point boosters, and trust me, I have conveyed all of the feedback that a lot of people have had already on this treasure map. I have conveyed it already to the relevant people, so hopefully we can get some things changed in the future, because honestly, not a big fan of the way that this treasure map has been structured. But with all of that being said, guys, that is the complete rundown of this brand new treasure map versus Koala. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.